welcome back to another video. My name is Abby, and today's video is about where your unconscious or subconscious beliefs come from, and more importantly, how you can start accessing them so that you can shift them so that you get a reflection of the thing you actually want, right? Before we get into the video, I want to let you know if you're interested in working with me one-on-one to get a little bit more in-depth about your specific story, about your specific experience, you can do so now, and it's a great time to do it. I'm temporarily offering donation-based payment system, meaning there's a $30 minimum payment. If you want to give more, great. If that's what you got right now, perfect. Either way, I will personally help you in your specific experience uproot these things so you can create a new belief about yourself. So if you're interested in that, click that link below. It's going to show you the calendar and all the other information. So back to the video. Right, we're back. Whiteboard time. I'm starting to feel like a basketball coach or something, or like you know when they do the X's and O's sports? Anyone? Okay. Oh, too much. Oh, too much. Oh, that's not enough. Oh, that had some velocity. All right, maybe that is an omen, a good good energy for this video, right? So I've made another video before about how to rewire your subconscious beliefs, right? But there is some confusion about where those thoughts actually come from, right? So I wanted to dive in deeper in this video to give you a better idea, because sometimes I feel like when you understand the why and how it's happened, it can help give you more power and better perspective so you can leverage it and essentially reverse engineer it and create what you want simply by knowing how it happened. So what in the hell? Why is this a box head, right? Again, we know my ability so far right now. You know, we keep it basic with the whiteboard. So this is baby you. This is baby me. This is baby anybody. No one escapes this. No one basically overrides what I'm about to show you. So this is between 0 and 7 years old. This is you, little baby you, so cute. And actually, even before 0, when you're in your biological mother's womb in the 3rd trimester, this is when this phase essentially starts happening. So here's little you. And why this bucket, right? Why the bucket? Well, between the last trimester of your biological mother and 7 years old, and early on I think you get the picture. It says theta. It's kind of hard to write. I'm actually cutting off. Okay, I don't like the way that looks. Theta. It's hard to write from this angle, but I think you can read it. Okay, so theta brainwave, the last trimester of biological mother and 7 years old. You are in a couple other brainwaves as well, but ultimately this brainwave is the most powerful. Why? Because it is the essentially brainwave and the channel of your subconscious. So for that many years, you have constant exposure, constant repetition, constant repeated patterns of whatever your environment was. That could have looked a lot of different ways in all of these ages. And some of you might not even remember this phase. That could potentially be a warning bell to be like, hey, maybe there's a reason why. Nothing horrible happened, but maybe those memories are actually painful and you don't want to look at them. And when you look at them, you'll actually be able to get the reasoning, or the meaning and the value you gave of yourself. So getting ahead of myself, I get so excited. My Aries energy. If y'all are wondering, my chart is 75% fire if y'all are into astrology. So 75% of my chart is fire. If it's not Aries, it's basically Sag. Sagittarius, Aries sun though. So anyway, okay, here we go. This is your subconscious mind, right? So you can potentially be born with subconscious some things already beliefs in your body through epigenetics, so passed through your lineage, right? And it's actually interesting because in the Holocaust survivors, I have heard different studies about basically, obviously for people who survived such a horrific thing in their life, they had PTSD. And it would make sense that their children would as well, because there's that direct access, right? Exposure to the person who has PTSD. However, there was genetic markers or there was expressions and symptoms of the grandchildren having PTSD. So meaning that trauma stayed in there. That is not a death sentence. That's not you're meant for suffering. That means that you need to be more aware of where your families come from, right? So apart from epigenetics, we want to look at what was your environment growing up. because we know that your subconscious was basically being programmed constantly at this age. So did you grow around? So this is basically influence. It is wide open. This is just getting filled up 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what you experienced. Maybe nothing horrific happened to you, right? Maybe you grew up in a safe home and you weren't ever physically hurt, and emotionally people were kind to you, and that sort of thing. You always had food. However, if you expressed a need and the adult was maybe preoccupied or didn't have the emotional tools to see you in that vulnerable state and meet that need and be there with you, then you could have taken a meaning about yourself, or you could have interpreted that as you're not very worthy, right? So you're potentially, people aren't around you, they're not able to show up for you, right? Or maybe you saw that with your parents or your primary caregivers. Maybe you grew up and money around you was not something that was good. And maybe it was kind of damned, right? Like, oh God, those sons of bitches, rich people. Oh, those people who have money, they think they're all that. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not like you. So there's a separation, right? Your primary tribe from potentially in the, now you're wanting that experience, because money isn't bad. Money is an energy, right? It's an expression of value. You not having it right now doesn't mean that that's what you're worth. It means that that is what you're putting out. So as you learn, oh, I can be more valuable because I am more valuable, you start cranking it up, realizing it's not a bad thing, and also realizing that you choosing that for yourself doesn't mean that you're breaking away from your family and that you'll be alone forever. So there's a lot of different things going on, but what we want to understand is this 24-hour constant exposure that your subconscious is basically it's a big bucket. Anything that's going on here, any kind of, and even not even lack of love, but heartbreak, right? How are your primary caregivers, the adults around you, responding with love, right? Were you in a situation where your parents or your people around you were yelling a lot, arguing a lot, constantly picking on each other? Were you in a situation where one parent was very condescending or mean to the other, or maybe they were both mean to each other? Nobody in your past that contribute to this are bad. No one's bad. We're not blaming people. But what we want to see is basically cause and effect, right? So we want to see a cause, something happened, an event or a series of events 24 hours a day, and that's caused an effect. Essentially, that effect is your belief, your view of yourself, your perception of the world. Because basically, after 7 years old, basically it still gets influenced, but not as much. And it's like, okay, this is me. I'm not very worthy. I'm not very valuable, or maybe I'm too much. Maybe I need to constantly attune to other people because when I was younger, no one attuned to me. So I learned that I need to check in with other people and see what they're doing. Are you okay? Oh, is anything wrong between? Are you upset with me? If you're in that realm, which is my past vibe, and even sometimes I still get caught up in it. Oh, okay, I'm abandoning me. I'm afraid this person's going to leave because emotional uncertainty is very scary for me. It makes me feel unsafe, right? Not that I'm going to die, but it's scary. It makes me feel very vulnerable. It makes me feel like I'm going to be alone because I had early on experiences. Everything and everyone in my life was kind and loving. However, if my perception of situations was that I needed to keep attuning because no one was attuning to me, then I learned basically that I thought that how you navigated the world was to attune to everybody else. Guess what happens if you're constantly looking outside yourself to feel a sense of safety and to check in? No one's with you. You're not with you. You're looking outside of yourself. So essentially you create that self-rejecting or self-neglecting by, lack of awareness, and you'll see that reflected. Because once this all goes in, you're like, yes, this is me. And that this is what you project out into reality, you could say. You could also say this is your filter you look through, so you can only get the things that line up with this. This is your tuning fork, and anything that vibrationally matches this, you will find, not because you're not worth it, not because you don't deserve it, simply because that's what was programmed into your subconscious. So you're like, shit, Abby. Well, I guess it's all over. It's not going to work for me because, yeah, my childhood was really intense, right? Maybe you experienced some really hard things and you didn't have the tools as a child. Who does? Potentially something that's so intense that even an adult wouldn't have the tools. That it does not mean that you can't heal. That does not mean that you'll always find those things in your outside world. The first thing you want to see is, okay, how was I influenced? What was around me? What were the beliefs about myself? How was I treated? You want to get very clear on what's in here so that as you start looking out into the world, when you start, oh, that's my old story. I know that I'm seeing right now the idea and the illusion that I'm not worth it. I'm going to make a new choice and I'm going to stay with me no matter what. Because I know that when I think that, oh, they're going to abandon me. Oh, God, I did it again. I abandoned myself. Okay. I'm going to stay with me. I'm going to go do something for me because of me, not because I need them to see me differently, not because I am going to distract myself, but because I know that these things aren't true. These things happen. These were events. They caused pain, and that pain and that experience can be transmuted into wisdom once it's felt and processed and re-reasoned on. It doesn't mean, people talk about Neville Goddard's revision, and that would basically be saying, okay, maybe as a kid, no one was around you, constantly got made fun of, and you felt like you're always going to be abandoned. You have a deep fear of abandonment and a deep wound of betrayal, and you feel insecure, and you don't feel like you're very worthy, and you're like, nope, no, that's not real. I feel good. I am good. Love is all around me, and yeah, I'm totally confident. Your body, basically the subconscious is expressed in your body. Your body knows that that's not true. And if you're not listening to process this, to re-reason on this experience, we're not changing the experience. We're changing the view and the meaning you gave about yourself in the experience. How much more power do you have when you go and you confront that thing that happened? You stand up for yourself in that moment, which you can do through a meditative state, and go back and say the words that you didn't have at the time. And you give yourself that value, you give yourself that meaning. You say, oh man, my parents did the best they could, and I'm thankful for all the things that they provided, and I am worthy. My idea that I wasn't worthy, I didn't have any meaning, that was me as a kid. Just the same as you don't know how to do multiplication, you don't know how to freaking drive a car, or buy a plane ticket. And maybe kids do at this age, but you get the idea that you didn't have skills that you needed, and you're using essentially a value of you that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. And that part of you that feels betrayed and abandoned, that is steering the ship and making decisions in your current life, in your relationships specifically, because this would be a relational wound, meaning you do need to be. And when you are in a relationship, it heightens. And when you're in a safe, loving relationship, it can heal. So when you do affirmations and you're visualizing, you're saying, no, that's not true. No, 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 no. That's rejecting yourself. That's abandoning yourself. Now, I'm not saying get stuck into a year-long thing of this. When you really confront it and you feel it, you process it, and you give yourself a new meaning, you become aware of when you start getting stuck. Oh, okay, I can feel that's an old belief. No, I'm going to make a new choice. I'm going to stay with me. Okay, I know I have a perceptional bias to look for abandonment because I feel that that's going to, okay, I know I got to stay with me. So the programs or the beliefs in your subconscious mind came from childhood experiences, and they don't always have to be between 0 and 7. It could have been 10, could have been 15, but a lot of times the most influential ones come at this time. And maybe you had a perceptional bias of you're not good enough. Maybe you had an older sister and people always compared you, and you essentially always compare yourself now to other people, and you make yourself less. That in itself is self-rejection. And as you start to become aware of, oh, I always thought that my sister was better than me or more beautiful or whatever, maybe your brother's more, whatever the thing. Oh my God, I never noticed what a beautiful kid, like I was so talented, I didn't even know. Or, oh my God, have you ever looked at a picture sometimes of yourself, you're like, wow, I didn't know I looked like that then. Maybe that's just me. But really seeing yourself in a new view because you're removing all those wounded perceptions and distortions that you've essentially created based on the wound. That wound hurt you, yes. That wound caused you pain. And it doesn't mean that it's the value and worth of who you are. You can basically unsubscribe from the power it has over you. So yes, the subconscious mind, the beliefs are created from when you're little. They're a cause, and the effects that you can find what they are is in your outside world. The effects are your experiences, your behaviors, how you navigate the world. You automatically know what's in here. And these came from childhood. So start thinking about what happened between these ages, what could be in here. And if you're still a little bit confused, look and see the effects in your life. What experiences, what behaviors, what consistent ideas go through your head? How do you see yourself? The more you do that, the more you'll be able to shift this and create whatever it is that you want in your life because you're worth it. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, click that like below. If you haven't done so already, join this community. We would love to have you. And if you found value out of this, go ahead and watch this video here. I really think you're going to like it too. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.